Washington and the New York Giants, another dreadful performance. Last night against the Steelers, they were 6.5 point dogs. Every model, every trend, everything said, take the Giants, take the Giants, take the Giants. I was waiting on that game because I felt like it was going to get back to 6.5. So I hadn't bet it.
Mm.
And then my wife and I took our son out to dinner, and dinner went much longer than I expected. And so I just forgot about the game. Like we were at dinner, so I never bet it. And I'm like, thank freaking God, because that would have been an excruciating game to bet. And
Yeah,
now I know you talked about wanting to be on the Giants on Sunday night. Uh,
gotta.
Andrew Thomas is not playing. The home dogs are terrible this year. The
Awful.
Giants continue to look like they're in a free fall. Um, Explain to me. Just tell me.
Yeah, and I shockingly, it's rare that I don't watch a football game, but I basically took Pittsburgh's money line, whatever it was, say it was minus 250, and I go, all right, I have zero interest in watching this game. I'm just gonna watch the World Series, and even the World Series game wasn't great. I'm so happy I watched it rather than watching this game, just because I think at halftime it was 9-9, and there was
Yeah.
like three different touchdowns were called back on weird penalties and a bunch of different stuff, and I just that game, I can't believe that Giants didn't honestly cover. Like they had the ball at the end of the game, they're driving to score the backdoor cover, and of course Daniel Jones throws an interception because it is Daniel Jones. So I'm with you. Like we've talked about this year, the bad teams are bad. They are just really bad right now. And if this was 3, 4 years ago, Chad, this would be a no-brainer. Hammer this. Commanders off a Hail Mary now on the road in a divisional game against a team that once again did not cover. You're right. It's like, this is not for the faint of heart. This is what the professionals do. This is what I do. I have to take this number. So I'm not gonna force it in. There's another game I like more that I'm gonna try to force in on you, but this is not the one. But I will see it come Thursday if you come around on this one. But it's like this is how I make my living, these type of games. This is such an incredible spot to fade this Commanders team, especially where Daniel Jones only plays good against one team. Me and you joke about this. It's the damn truth if you go through his history. It's the Commanders. Like he plays well against them. Doesn't matter if it's on the road, at home. The Giants historically have matched up well with the Commanders as well, not just defensively, but offensively as well. So there's a lot to like here, but I get where you're coming from. They're so bad right now, this Giants team. And I think though you saw that game against Pittsburgh, they did make adjustments for being down key guys in the offensive line, right? I mean, as great as TJ Watt is, they kind of neutralized him in that game, right? They kept going away from him to the other side, and
Eh,
anytime they knew he was going to come up field, they put a tight end out there, block him down, then just run right through that huge gaping hole that TJ was giving up. So I do think they do have some great coaching on the Giants. They can make these adjustments, but the biggest one is just I want to fade this Washington team so bad, Chad. It's just they got so lucky last week. I know people think the Bears got lucky, even though they had a walk-in touchdown. They fumbled at the one and then drove the field again and scored another touchdown. People were like, "Oh, you guys were just lucky to even be in that position." Were we? Were we the lucky ones being on Chicago, or should they have been up 21-12 at the end of that game? So I'm not bitter. People can tell I'm not bitter at all. But yeah,
Wait, the
this is a hard
Bears?
one for me because I really want to fade this Commanders team, but I'm not gonna force our listeners to take these shitty divisional dogs just because I historically love this spot.
Wait, the Bears lost that game against the Commanders? Because I blacked out in the final 23 seconds of the game.
Smart man, keep looking forward.
So I don't know what you're talking about. I have
Yeah.
no memory of that whatsoever. I think you can actually see the blackout happening live if you go through and look for our clips
Well, my
on
favorite thing was people that watched
Twitter.
that video. They're like, "There's no way Simon bets real money on this game. Look how he barely even reacted. If he really lost a ton of money, he'd be so much more upset." I feel like people don't understand that I'm a professional bettor. How many more times do I need to tell people that this is what that was even the worst thing that happened to me this past week? So people were so upset I didn't overreact to it. It's just like, guys, I've seen it all. I mean, it brought back a memory. My worst bet. I didn't want to bring it up to you on Sunday night, but to me, our still worst bet ever, even that was awful, was one time me and Chad had the Cardinals minus 2.5, and they threw a Hail Mary pass. They won the game, and Chad called me up to celebrate. And I said, well, they didn't kick the extra point yet. We haven't covered anything. And they kneeled. You remember this? Arizona kneeled the ball down,
Yeah.
didn't kick the extra point, and me and him lost by half a point. To me, that's still, even though this was terrible, that forever was why I was just forever burned by this whole thing with, just betting the 2.5. It's such a key number.
Look, I don't really go on Twitter anymore. It's become just a
Cesspool.
cesspool of like people shouting into the void. It's really become just disgusting. And uh but I do remember, having now known professional bettors for 25 years, I don't know any bettors who freak out when they lose a big game. And I don't
No.
know any bettors who freak out when they win a big game. Like when I was freaking out as a fan, not as someone who had the game, right? Like I could give
Yeah.
a shit about the bet I made. I just was like apoplectic that this team that I love, that I invest so much energy in, that I am like growing more and more attached to as I get older, and I have no kids in the house soon to be anymore. Like you have memories of them, and it's like a connection, and it keeps me connected to friends and family, and like it's something we talk about. So I just want them to do well. And I've been with betters when they win $100,000, and you know what they do? They put the money back in play.
And you
That's
wouldn't
it.
even know it though. Like again, when I went big like that, you would never see me react, especially in a sports book. I,
That's
I
what I
would never
mean.
react. Yeah.
Like they don't overreact
I just
one
love how
way or
people
the
get
other.
upset about it. They're like, and it's just like, guys, I literally do this for a living. What do you, I'm not you. That's what I feel like people can't wrap their heads around. It's just that reaction is how professionals react to those type of things. It's just another day at the fucking office losing that type of bet.
Well, listen, I don't mind the defensive line of the Giants against Jaden Daniels. Like the Bears have a similar pass rush, similar coverage capabilities, and Daniels had a pretty terrible game except for that one career-defining play. Um, so I don't hate this. I understand all the logic. Uh, I just worry about the trend right now of backing bad quarterbacks on bad teams is not in our
I'm
favor.
with you. It's not fun. This is not
A
a
little
fun one to bet
better.
on.
It was a little better last week, right? Jags,
We went 3-0 technically.
Jags, Colts, but 4-0. Jags, Colts, Browns, Raiders. Like the Raiders weren't in the contest, but we were on them. So it's coming back our way. For
Yeah,
the record, this is likely to be a luck rankings game favoring the Giants.
definitely.